Hello and welcome to Nollywood Film Club. I'm Mr. C, a Virgo critic. I hope you're doing well. And yeah, you can see we sometimes we discuss Nollywood topics, sometimes we discuss movies. Today, and sometimes we do both, like today. And this was not really the intention, but as you can see in the description, if you're looking at the description, which you should be looking at, um, the when we discuss the shorts that we discuss, they still take a sizable portion of the discussion. So worth putting in there. And then we obviously get to the topic at hand, which leads us to discussing things like how well the how well the industry works and why the industry works and maybe how the industry can work better. To be honest, fatigue is something that a lot of us who are in the Nollywood space unprofessionally, that like people who don't actually get paid to partake in Nollywood, it's something a lot of us suffer from quite en masse. And I'd been sensing a little bit of it. And so I thought it was going to be something worth discussing. So I just, hope you enjoy Nollywood Film Club discussing Mo Abudu's shorts and Nollyfatigue. Doing the intro first. So, welcome to Nollywood Film Club. We do discuss Nollywood movies every week. Sometimes we do Nollywood topics like today, where we'll be discussing fatigue in the Nollywood audience. Maybe Nollywood in general. I don't even know what that. It feels like the actors or some of the filmmakers might be going through it as well. So we'll be discussing that. Whether what whether anybody is suffering it here, or what we think is causing it, and maybe what we think might bet improve it. Is it a break? Is it watching Hollywoods? Anyway, we'll discuss that. But you know what? Before we go into all of that naughty fatigue thing, I feel like maybe worth touching on Mo Abudu's short films that she dropped this weekend. See this as one of those hangouts where see it as a hangout, but with a focused topic.
Into a topic, and now you want to hang out.
Yeah, well, hangouts were fun. They gave us a good. It was a breath of fresh air in the middle of. Why is this one laughing? It was a breath of fresh air in the middle of a lot of uh not fun things. So I've already sort of put a little bit of my thoughts out there for both of the shorts. I'm interested in if anybody else on the space had any thoughts on the Mo Abudu shorts, Iyawo and Her Perfect Life. Okay, Vanessa.
So I'm just waking up from a nap that's as a result of fatigue that Mo Abudu shots induced. Um guys.
Like link, I like it as a link.
guys. Guys, it's not fair. Oh. It's actually not fair. And this is my thing, isn't it? Mo Abudu has such access to funding, to all the things that she's built over the years as Mo Abudu. And this is the thing where you can use your access for good, or you can use it for, fortunately, very very bad. Because why when Mo Abudu decided that she's gonna be a writer and director, filmmaker par excellence, were we not all worried as an industry? She even denounced Nollywood and said she's not Nollywood. I remember one panel. She said she's not Nollywood. She said these films have nothing to do with Ebony Live. She said these films were gonna be about serious matters. I vividly remember these things that she said. Now look at us here. I'm so glad at least I got a chance to take a nap before this space, because if I didn't, I'd be crankier. Guys, unfortunately, and this is the thing about Mo Abudu trying to distance herself from Ebony Life as a studio, something that she created, something that has of a very clear trademark in the kind of, whether or not she was the one telling the stories, as in writing and directing, even though by and large, a lot of the recent Ebony Life things would always have Mabudu as part of story, even though I never got that, which very much clear in the story direction of both these two short films. A very clear trademark as to the type of stories that were told. I don't know why she thought she could separate herself from that if she had as much influence as she did on those films, even when she was just a producer, versus now that she's writing and directing, because the stories have gone through the same treatment, guys. They've gone through the same treatment. They're shallow, they're empty, nothing burgers. And what's sad about this is even with Ebony Life, right? Even the Wedding Parties of the World and the Chief Daddies of the World and all the other films have most of the time been nothing burgers. Case in point, Sunday. I mean, what is that film about? The guy that was named Sunday. Also a nothing burger. But the difference is these films were, according to her, serious subject matter. And they are serious subject matters. These two shorts deal with mental health and serious mental illnesses, guys. And they're not handled in a way that gives them any depth. They still feel empty, still feel like someone is telling the story from a very detached point of view. And so you yourself, as the audience who's watching this, also feel very detached from whatever these mental illnesses and that these characters are going through and or feeling. You finish watching it and you are like, okay, what's the point? And especially more egregious, guys, and this is not a review, but more egregious is Her Perfect Life. More egregious is Her Perfect Life. Her Perfect Life is The Rich Also Cry, guys. And while that may be true, mental health issues do not discriminate based on your economic status, guys. But there's a way in which you can handle it that would have the intended effects. And this film made me, and not just me, my friend, feel absolutely nothing. I decided I was going to take on a Nollywood victim. I cannot suffer alone. And so I made my friend watch both films. And yeah, it didn't go so well, guys. My friend is a non-Nollywood watcher, so she was even more offended. Um, Guys, Auntie Mo, Emma really more. Don't do this again. And to think, guys, that she put this thing on Apple TV behind a locked paywall. Today's the last day you guys have to go and watch those films on YouTube. They're not going to be available to you anymore. They'll be on behind the paywall on Apple. Guysy, guysy, who is the audience? Who is the intended audience for this? Beyond it being on Apple, who is the intended audience for this? Guys, I was tired after watching both. I see. Let's actually not. Also, the only thing I'm grateful for Mo for is she manages to be the only person who cast Uzo Asimpa, even though Uzo Asimpa was only on screen for 2 seconds. But do you know what? I'm grateful. Nollywood, question, why don't you guys ever cast Uzo Asimpa? Is it that Uzo Asimpa doesn't, it's no longer a serious, like, actor, like a working actor, or is it that only Mo do call the phone and be like, Uzo, do you want to be in any of my things? Because like Uzo has been on Mo's things since Ebony Live, and Uzo, seems like Mo is the only one who casts Uzo. If anybody is a Nollywood insider, DM me and tell me why people don't cast Uzo as him.
Wow. Okay.
People do.
Who are the people that cast her? Where is it? When is the last time you saw Uzo?
I I don't know who there is. I'm sorry.
That's okay, Mr. C. You know, you never know who anyone is.
All right. Does anybody else have any thoughts on this before maybe I regurgitate some of mine?
I have never felt so much nothing.
Wait, let's give, we're
You
still
want to give
last.
it to who?
I'm still asking the other
Okay,
people. You
sorry, I
can
thought I
go.
was including people.
No, you're not including
My
other
apologies.
people. All right. Does anybody else who have seen the more shots have thoughts? Okay, Mrs. I guess you
My
can go.
thoughts have gone. I don't have thoughts anymore.
Okay.
And I have never felt so much nothing. I have never felt so much nothing. Um, I feel like I know. I was going to say I don't know what Mo was trying to do with those two, but I do feel like I could see what she was trying to do, right? And for starters, I'm just also appalled that Iyawo Me seems like such a cheery title. And take such a cheery title of Iyawo Me and give me that. That was very sad. Um, I don't know. It was very shallow. Both were very shallow. And I think obviously the point was the message, and which we've already said, right? It's not impressive, right? Do a film. If you want to put a message in a film, fine, but do a film. So that was already unimpressive. But then what was the message? That rich people can have depression? No shit, Mo. Give me something. Actually give me something. Who is this person? What is the challenge here, right? Why give me something to empathize with, give me something to see myself in. But no, it was pretty earrings, red bottoms, and Birkins, and then a suicide. This is sorry for the breaking transmission. We have a ghost in our home and it turns on TVs and random things from time to time. We're about to call a priest. But yeah, anywho, it really was so shallow. It was so shallow. There was way too much time spent on look at this luxury, look at this luxury. Ooh, they're having sex in the shower. Oh, I will always love you. Oh, that's very deep. And it was very much a nothing burger. I've never watched a suicide on screen and thought, okay, I guess.
Yeah. So I think one of my sadly one of the thoughts behind when I watched this was after I've watched the first one, I was thinking, okay, so this person had, mental illness and they and then she died. And I was like thinking, okay, I was just thinking, okay, and so why? I don't get it. The only bit of like decent commentary in there is maybe if you squint, you're saying how the doctor definitely fails her in that, just the doctor starts touching her body in a weird way, and the husband decides, well, this doctor is not going to, which I'm sure that has happened in Nigeria before, but that's not our big problem with really with both mental health and our uh, sort of our health system in Nigeria. Then when I watched the second film, I was like, oh, okay. I see what she was trying to do now. She wanted to make a film. As far as I'm concerned, this call it a conspiracy theory, but her perfect life is what she wanted to make, and Iyawomi is what she made so that it will not seem so out of touch and so poor rich people, because there is not you don't have anything really of substance given to if you think about the way the at least the bit of characterization what's little there is in her perfect life, even though there isn't much really, it's just that she's rich, to be honest, but at least going through you're following her through the day. This the poor person, we already made her, she's already mad, she's already lost it, she's done, cooked completely, and her husband, so like there's no thought given to her life or what life is like for her. Even it's just we meet her at that point, and that's what happens to her. So yeah, for me, it's a little sad that that's what we got, because again, I didn't need the oh, mental illness affects both classes as well, so like, they both had mental illness and they both died. It's like, okay, but what did the person who actually had access to, access to resources try to do about her state? We have no idea. It's honestly barely a concept. Anyway, but that was what I thought about concept of a plan, to be honest. All right. Uh,
I just want to ask a question. Where do you watch this movie?
it's
This
on.
film?
Today only is on YouTube.
Yeah.
Today is
I'm
the
looking
last
on
day.
YouTube
Go
and I
and
don't
watch it
find
now
it.
when you call. Today is the last day.
I'm looking on YouTube and I didn't find it.
Check the
Ebony
Ebony
Live.
Live YouTube
Live.
channel, even though apparently these are not supposed to be associated with Ebony Live. But what do we know?
Okay. Okay. Maybe something fun to watch.
Yeah. All right. Jabari, your hand is up.
I haven't watched the movie, but I want to ask something.
Okay.
Okay, we talked about the movie not having any soul and
Sorry, Jabari. Before you go on further, do you have headphones on? If you don't mind taking them off, headphones don't tend to work. Sorry.
am I echoing? Like my audio is echoing, but
Yeah. Your belly. Is it audible?
okay. What about now?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, we talked about how the movie is shallow and like the movie didn't make anybody feel anything. The two short films didn't make anybody feel anything. But like honestly speaking, which Nigerian film now like has made anybody feel anything? Which Nigerian film now isn't shallow? Which Nigerian film now isn't like at most like which Nigerian film has made anybody feel anything? Like you watch it now and it changes your worldview on life. Like it's just most Nigerian films now, it's just you argue about oh she broke up with this one or the man did this babe dirty or it's just beer biscuits kind of discussions. So like what are people on like I'm just like saying people are saying things that are like not really critical. Like most Nigerian films now don't are not as shallow, like from what I've seen. So it's like why is everybody on I don't know, like on our ass like this? I'm just wondering.
Okay.
Because it's not like the Nigerian films now are not shallow. They've always been shallow.
All right. Thanks, Jeff. But two things. First off, you're in a space called Nollyfatigue, that people aren't, feeling things anymore is part of the whole point of this. Is a problem that we're on here to discuss. So that's the first thing. That's the first thing. But that's aside because actually I mentioned exactly what my issue with it doesn't even have to do with not feeling anything. It's about the message of the point of the thing being half. She doesn't really know what the message she's trying to send is, one, and number two is that's all she has to offer in terms of the plot doesn't make any sense, and saying that both poor people and rich people both suffer from mental issues, and we should again they're released together.
Yeah, I think I haven't watched the movie. That's why I'm talking like
It's
this.
interesting for you to have pushback on people who have watched the movies and giving their feedback and saying, why are you being harsh on us when you haven't seen the movie, no?
Also,
Yeah, I get
yeah,
it.
and I just have to say, when I say I felt nothing, right? You can't call that not constructive. It is constructive. Hold
I didn't say it's not
on.
constructive.
I'm coming. You said when was the last time we watched a movie that changed our worldview and blah blah blah. I don't need a film to change my worldview. How many films out of all the films that exist have the ability to change your worldview? But I want to feel something when I watch a film. I want to feel joy. I want to feel entertained. I want to feel sad when a sad thing happens. Things are happening in a film and they are supposed to evoke emotion. When you make a film where someone who seems to have the perfect life is going through her day, seemingly saying goodbye to her loved ones, and then ending up offing herself in a very fancy hotel room in red bottom heels and a gorgeous red dress and really pretty earrings, I need to feel something when that happens, or you have failed in what you have done. And that was a failure. Hence, me saying I felt nothing is exactly constructive critique of this film that is supposed to be dealing with something tragic, like mental health issues leading to the death of a mother by suicide. I hope that's clear.
All right.
Yeah, that's clear.
All right. Fair.
I was just saying, like, Nigerian films now don't really make anybody feel anything aside from just like a 5 minutes orgasm, that kind of thing. It's just a short feeling. Like impact is not really being made by Nigerian films now.
Can I also make a guess, Jabari? You don't watch a lot of Nollywood films.
When I do, they give me
Yeah,
headache.
yeah. Okay, so take it from us who do, you know, uh, that when we're saying this thing, we're saying it as people who discuss movies on a weekly basis, Nollywood movies on a weekly basis. So we we sort of we know what we're talking about in terms of at least our perception of how we view these movies every week. We're not just coming here to say, oh, that one we watched 6 months ago, or that film we watched. I'm almost sure there are movies I can recommend to you that would make you feel something. With difficulty comes ease is one of them. We watched that this year. That was so. It's not. We're well versed in this. So, but feel free to chime in again whenever something pops.
Yeah, I understand. I come to this place a lot. I just observe. I just like to talk to
Okay,
them.
all right. You're welcome. Damola, I think you had your hand up.
Hi everyone. Um, whew, okay. I just actually just wanted. I haven't watched the films. I just say. So I don't have anything to say necessarily about the films. I do have questions, a couple of questions before I then maybe dive into stuff that's maybe to give a comment about some stuff about the films, but it won't be about the actual content. Okay. So questions. One is considering what we kind of know about Mo Abudu as a person, as a public figure, whether it's rumors, whether it's actual facts, or whatever, from those who watched it, would you say at all, like even if it didn't make you feel anything, would you say at all that you felt like she was putting herself in the films at all in any kind of way? Um, like, did you kind of feel like she was trying to channel? Yes, Papa. Yeah, here you go. Whether she was trying to channel something at all, even if it didn't quite stick the landing, but did you feel like she was trying to channel anything personal in that? So that's my first question. Second question is, do are we interested at all in discussing these films? Are we only discussing them from sort of a creative point of view? Is there any scope for discussing, business aspects of this, strategic, you know, aspects of why she's kind of putting these films out or whatever? I just want to ask.
Okay, maybe worth taking the second question first. So I think, generally for Nollywood Film Club, we're discussing films from an audience perspective. I think a sprinkle of from the business perspective can be interesting, but it's not the point of the club. The club is like to, hey, what films are we watching, and then we discuss it how we feel as an audience. Because when we when this club was formed, there was no intention of people who had the business perspective to bring it through, right? And that might be interesting in some ways, but it certainly might clash with, or doesn't even really have much to do with how an audience member might feel. So there's that. Your first question, from my perspective at least, the only bit about Mo's life, from the little I know about her life, that she might be putting in here is that Mo sometimes might experience mental health, or maybe has friends who experience mental health discomfort, issues, or the whole spectrum, from maybe something on the spectrum of maybe not so serious to really serious, as somebody who is wealthy. And again, this that's why I felt Iyawo feels like, if you watch both of them, you understand what I mean. That like only one of these seem to represent her POV or something that she could put in. But like, it's not even really there. It's a very shallow version of what could be there. I remember after I watched Her Perfect Life, one of the things I said to Mrs. C was like, I'm sure Mo has very interesting insights. She's a very powerful woman in Nigeria who's in a place where very few women have gotten. I'm absolutely sure that comes with its stress and its issues that could be potentially relatable, or at least one could empathize, but she hasn't dug anywhere near that deep. She's nowhere near touching any of that. And that's really disappointing, because again, I'm sure there's so much she could farm from her personal life, because this is her story, written by her, directed by her, and it just feels shallow. It feels, not to do the AI, somebody, but it just doesn't feel like something that somebody with a personality put into this. So anyway, but yeah, that's my sense of things. Halima, you had your hand up, and then we'll come to Little Wonder.
Yeah, I did. Good evening, everybody. I feel like I'm going to sound repetitive now because I feel like you've touched on most of the things I wanted to say. I also felt I don't know, I feel like mental health is a very interesting subject, and there's like so much depth that could come in a film like that. I watched this film on like 1.5 speed, so because I just got tired of seeing all the, especially what's that one, the fine face girl one, Our Perfect Life. Like, okay, yeah, I get it. You're rich, you're whatever, and I mean, from the beginning, we could tell that she wanted to kill herself because the way she was looking, which was bothering all around, and I think there was a line where she insinuated something, so we could tell, right? So I'm not really watching to see when you kill yourself. I'm watching to see like what happens through the entire process of that. And like, okay, who's this person and why should I care about you, right? So I just didn't see the point till the end because it just felt like she just wanted to, you know, say our goodbyes and that's it. Like, okay, what's this person really like? You have money, you have access to education, you have access to therapy, you have access to, like, there's just so much you can do for your mental health when you're even wealthy, rather than, when you don't have money or access to these things. So like, who's this person and what are they really going through? And I felt like, okay, maybe the notes would tell us like this story, right? The notes that she left for her husband. But it was just like, it's a lot, I'm overwhelmed. Well, yeah. um, Literally the entire world is overwhelmed, so like, give me more depth to this. Like, what's really going on? Omo, I don't know, Sha. I just didn't say it. And then the other film as well. Hmm. I feel like that one could have also like been way deeper, or I mean, because it's a short, so you're trying to like make sure that you don't jam pack too much stuff into one, and then you start confusing everybody. But it just did not land, and even like, I think the reaction at the end is what even threw me off completely. Because after they've killed your wife, and you've seen that trusting whatever doesn't really amount to anything. His reaction was just very like you lost money kind of reaction, not like you lost someone. It's like you don't really care about this person as much. And then I don't know, maybe the title as well. Iyawo me, like it's so grandeur, it's so cute. And then ugh, all right, I'm gonna shut up. Anyways, may I have Nollywood fatigue like mad. I only watch this because Ikea tweeted about it. I think somebody tagged me to it yesterday or today. And I said I wasn't going to watch it in my head. But after seeing it today again, that today's the last day I get to watch, I'm like, you know what, let me just check it out. And yeah, voila. Anyways, we move. Bye guys.
All right, thanks, Hanima. Little Wonder, please.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Because my voice is a little bit messed up right now. So, I've not watched the short films. I believe the projects that you guys are talking about are short films, but because of the title of the space, I think it's a general space. It's not necessarily like targeted at reviewing of the films. So my thought about like my submission would just be around Nollywood fatigue generally, not being specific with the short films by Mo Abudu. Actually, I think what we have maybe this year generally from watching some of I won't say I've watched quite a lot of Nollywood films. I've watched a sizable amount, like 70% to an extent, enough to, have a like thoughts or a summary view of or a general or average view of what we have been doing so far. And I think the issue we have is even though we have like in terms of budgets, in terms of financing, in terms of people having in like at least enough resources to tell their stories the way they want to tell it. I think we made some like good progress this year in terms of that. Like people have like more resources to tell their story the proper way. But I don't think the stories have been, um, have been televised or however you want to call it. I don't think they've been told the way that has captured anybody's soul. And I think one recurring factor that has come up in this space a lot is we not feeling anything from the stories, meaning that what is the why? Like, why was this picture made? Why was this film made? What's the message that you're trying to convey? What's the worldview? What's the intellectual stance? What is it like? What's the why? Like the why is always a question mark that never gets answered in many Nigerian movies. And when that doesn't get answered, especially for somebody who knows what a film should do to you. I think somebody was saying that, it's like most Nigerian films will not change your worldview. And I find that telling because as soon as the person said that, I tried to think about it. Okay, not even from this year alone. Like, has there been some films? Of course, there are films that over the period of time that they could tax your brain, make you think about life and everything. But we don't really have too much movies that actually like change your worldview about things. And I think I was reading something about somebody was trying to justify it and say, okay, the reason why we don't really get too excited about Nigerian films is because maybe our stories generally are not interesting stories. Maybe we don't live in like a very interesting society to even start with, that somebody will now have the inspiration to come up with something really magical that would capture people, which I actually disagree with. And then somebody else said it that because it is an environment which is close to us, we relate to it. So anytime we watch it on our screen, we don't find it interesting. I also disagree with it. The reason why I disagree with the first one is you just going outside and observing the average Nigerian life, you know the woman selling whatever, woman selling rice in your streets, the mechanic that does your car, just observing people naturally, the people in your office. You see that there are a lot of interesting stories in Nigeria, but we don't have good storytellers. That's the problem. We have good stories, but we don't have good storytellers. Somebody that will pick that story and it's s- like expose it in such a way that will be so nice and magnificent to touch you. We don't really have that. And about the relatability of stuffs, I think there are a lot of you know interesting things that they are relatable, that when you see on big screen, no matter the fact that you've seen it before or because it happens in your environment, you will still feel this form of entertainment with it. The this kit maker was his name, Gilmore. Gilmore does all these relatable skits, and you won't say simply because you've seen it before, you've experienced it before, you don't find it interesting anymore. In fact, what makes Gilmore's skits or Lai Wasabi's skits very, very, very interesting is the fact that we can relate to it. Is something that we've experienced before. The nostalgia effects is also very important. And I don't even think we have storytellers that actually use that nostalgia effects to the best of their abilities, so that when people are watching these films, you relate to it and you're like, and then you laugh off it, and it creates this entertainment value to you. So, in summary, I think we have this the fact that movies don't have this underlying center theme of why. It's makes it very boring to watch sometimes. And we have good stories, but we don't really have good storytellers, and we have not been able to um make use of the fact that, sorry, who's that? Hello. Okay, let me round up. So we have good like stories, but we don't have people that have been able to tell these stories, like good storytellers. And the last point is that even though we've had funding, and this year has been really good on funding, resources, the production, and like things have improved in terms of that, but it hasn't really translated to really like very, very good films. And it could be the reason why some people are feeling a little bit, tired or fatigued from watching a lot of Nollywood pictures for now. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Inquiry reviews. I don't know. Little one that's sort of spoiled our segments. We're supposed to really enter Nollywood fatigue in a bit. We're talking about most films, but if you, I don't know what you want to discuss. Did you want to discuss most short films or
Oh,
um
I wanted to mention I have things to say both on the Hollywood fatigue and the Nollywood fatigue and the Mo and the short film. So should I just go ahead and speak on two of them, or I'll be
if
on it?
if you do if you do your most short films and if anything fatigue enter, that's okay. But we're going to start the segment in a bit anyway. But go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, I noticed. I just saw now a tweet from Nolly Critic where I think he was rating the audio highly. Well, someone sent me that link a few days ago to watch the thing, and I don't know. It has to be like one of the most boring short. I thought short films by definition were supposed to be short and concise so that we can get the whole story. That looked like a segment of a feature film that they just cut the first 15 minutes, like the thing that motivates somebody to become evil or something, and then they just pasted it as a short film. I really didn't understand what I was watching. So I mentioned the thing you said about the audio because I thought the audio was horrible. um it keys in a bit into the whole Nollywood fatigue thing. I don't know if many people don't notice it, but maybe aside House of Gar and from Layo and Kuti this year, the audio in these movies have been really bad. I normally watch with like a four speaker system, and it's just weird when I'm only watching Nollywood movies and I can hear the sound only from under my TV and not around me. It just, I don't know, there's this low quality thing, that's all around it. So I felt the same thing too in that Mo's story. While I was watching that short film, I thought to myself, So the doctor is touching the woman, and then you go to a hospital and Shega is behaving like this. I wonder what will happen if they just say, let's throw the woman into the ocean. And then the next thing it was like, let's drive her to the sea. I was like, huh? And then I began thinking, I wonder how funny it would be if they throw her into the ocean or something and she just dies. Like nothing actually happens. It's just a stupid movie where she just dies because she's a human being and she would drown in an ocean if she doesn't know where she is. And then the movie just came out like that, and she was out and she was drowned. And I was like, wait, what am I watching? What exactly is happening here? Like, what is this? I honestly, after I saw it, I had to ask my wife. I'm very familiar with this. I'm somewhat familiar with this name, Mo Abudu. I'm just vaguely familiar. And I was asking her, is she like a popular person? Is she known as a good filmmaker or a good storyteller or what? Because this thing that Edwin just sent me, I have no idea what it means. Maybe there's something I didn't understand, and she was like, oh no, she's just she has a big name, but she doesn't really have any like maybe talent. I don't know. Maybe I would call it. I thought it was a waste of a good camera, and it still had the bad audio that I don't know where how the Nolly critic thought it was good audio, but it was really really noisy all through. I know they were going to do the ocean voice, the ocean background, ocean noise at the background, but yeah, it was not well done. I think for okay, maybe you know what, I'll just wait for the Nollywood fatigue. I don't want to take too long. That's my submission. Thank you.
Thank you, great. I have to say, for me, the audio as well. I think the audio is something I mentioned that has been, I think for us anyway, it's actually kind of quite good. And one thing I noticed in there was the sound design for a lot of the rooms. A lot of rooms have their different sound design. So this is something that we don't even really bother with in a lot of our Nigerian films. If you move from one room to the other, depending on so if somebody's in the kitchen, for example, sometimes you hear like the humming of the fridge, that humming sound that the fridge makes in the background, and then when they go into it had things like this in this film where each I'm thinking about what do you call it? Actually, I'm thinking about Her Perfect Life now. So I liked that there was actually this. If I haven't checked this, but I wouldn't be surprised if this was edited abroad or by some, because honestly, I've not noticed that level of care into sound design, the cinematography as well. It's just that it's just wasted on nothing. There's really good production to this. I don't think that can be taken away from that. I will include the sound. The sound's not perfect. I do hear when the dialogue in between. It's not the best. Sometimes you can hear some parts cutting out a little bit. It's not all level. There are issues with it, but by far better than a lot of what, including House of God for me, including House of God and the rest, much better for me, to be honest. But alas, okay. If Anka, is this about
Yeah.
the shorts?
Yeah, this is about Our Perfect Life. I went to go watch it finally. And
Okay.
I'm so sorry. What's our problem? What led to a mental health disorder?
Undisclosed mental illness.
Yeah, what's our problem? Is it like she has brain imbalancing, or did something really happen to cause some sort of, reaction to it?
Undisclosed.
Actually, I think I figured it out. This is why. Guys, they're homeless because they're living in a restaurant. They went down to go eat breakfast. The dining tables, there's like 4 dining tables or 5 dining tables. And that only happens. That means there are multiple people, multiple different families eating there. So they're homeless. And it's understandable. That's why poverty drove that to our mental illness. And you guys were, yeah.
Okay. All right.
No. But to be honest, I'm just saying, Mo Abudu seems to like those old 40s, 50s what's it called? Women's pictures that are like a little bit melodramatic. Even though people say it's melodramatic, I don't think it's melodramatic. Like life is melodramatic in its own. And I think she likes those type of things. What is the other movie that she did? That was a full movie of two women liking the same man. That movie, right?
It's on the affair.
Yeah. So Mo is just a classic case of like what's it called? A first year college student wanting to imitate greatness, but liking more of the things that not necessarily like truly studying the thing, but liking the trappings of what people consider those things, of the reasons why people consider it great. Or like, somebody that read the what's it called? The Spark Notes instead of reading the entire book. Somebody that watches BuzzFeed to make a feminist critique of Cinderella, and not realizing that Cinderella had a story, and like in the entire story that kind of made sense for what was happening. That's what it's like. That's it. That's how we write it. And therefore, and usually it's this type of people that definitely think that they know things better than other people because you didn't read the Shakespeare, you didn't read that. But what their understanding of the thing is very superficial because they themselves didn't read it. What you got was SparkNotes version. So that's it.
All right.
It's going to be continue to be pretentious. I'm done.
All
Now I'm
right.
going to go watch Iyawo.
All right. Thanks, Onika. All right. The main topic of the day, surely, hopefully not too long, given I wasn't expecting us to do this much on most films, but alas. Fatigue in Nollywood. All right. First question is, does anybody here not have Nollywood fatigue or hasn't experienced Nollywood fatigue? Let's start there. Um, Anybody, please unmute your mic and just go for it. Anybody who hasn't had Nollywood
I
fatigue?
haven't had it.
You haven't, Oinka, you have not had Nollywood fatigue.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
on behalf of everyone else, please tell us your secrets.
I have a life. Sorry.
What's all this? What's all this shade to the rest of us? We don't have life.
Nah, I could like no, generally, I like movies. I do respect movies, but I could generally care less about movies like that because it's just somebody's opinion and somebody's something. And like, sure, you get me in the moment, you get my information in the moment. Like, also, like I always say, if you like it, talk, and I'm on movie. Like that's
Wow,
it. I
wow,
mean,
wow.
there are lows and tours. I'm not going to tell you yet that like currently Nigerian movies is not going through a bad low. Yeah, it's going through a bad low. I'm not going to lie to you about that. Like, sure. But I also think it's probably the movies that we're watching on streamers. Of course, it was going to go through a bad low. I mean, the breadcrumbs has always been there. The copying of like 80s movies and people not really getting it. And people not, like, I don't know, just not localizing, not doing all that. And also, the industry of filmmaking business is changing. Even in America, everything is going up in the bowl. There'll probably not be an Hollywood in the next 50 years. Who knows? So, yeah, it's going to affect things.
We'll get into the why we're feeling what we're feeling at this point. But on behalf of the people you just cooked now, including us that are feeling Nollywood fatigue. By the way, like for Nollywood fatigue is just you're feeling tired. There doesn't have to be anger there, like there doesn't have to be, oh, why is Nollywood doing this to me? Or it just I'm tired of watching Nollywood, or it's just uninterested in watching Nollywood. So like there doesn't have to be any more emotion attached to that. I'm not
Yeah.
saying something there is. So like if like saying like even if you're saying if you watch after watching it for 10 15 minutes you turn it off at some point. maybe you don't even want to give any maybe 5-10 minutes. So yeah, I mean that's where a few of us might be. So I'm speaking on behalf of some of this.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, and I was just being facetious and funny. But really, like the reason why I don't have Nollywood fatigue is because I'm sorry, I've been working so much other things have been going on, so I didn't have the time to like really focus on that. But also, like I get distracted by social media. Uh,
No, that's
by
helpful
those
actually. So you're
YouTube
saying
shorts.
there are other
Those
things.
YouTube shorts. Yeah.
Are
I
you saying
like
there
I
are other
want
things that's taking your other things that are
yes,
taking
the YouTube
your
shorts
attention?
take my something. You sit down there, you're like, oh, let me just watch this short, and then I'm going to go watch the movie. But then
Yeah,
by the time you look up, it's already been 2 hours, and you're like, what did I just spend my 2 hours life doing? So
understandable. So sometimes
clearly I
less
don't
knowledge.
have a life. So that's why
Uh,
I don't have
all right.
Nollywood fatigue. Because by 2 hours I don't have time to be watching the movie, so I have to go do something else. That's
Okay.
why.
All right. That's interesting. So sometimes less Nollywood is better for us. All right. Damala, did you want to say something about
Yeah, thanks again. Okay, sorry. So I'm feeding a baby and he's very impatient. So uh, yeah, Nollywood fatigue. Um, I'm kind like on an existential level, I'm not feeling it because I'm kind of excited about the future. And not just because, like, I mean, for those that don't know, I don't live in Nigeria, I live in Canada, and I kind of started a distribution business over here. So I have taken a few films from Nigeria and other Africans and tried to kind of shop them around here. And also actually did a limited release recently, and it was such a rush. It wasn't like we didn't make millions, though. But it was such a rush just kind of putting the whole thing together and seeing it actually happen. And so I'm excited about the future because I think that there is potential. It's just going to take a lot of legwork to kind of get through a lot of stuff to find those nuggets, right? But yeah, just in terms of the actual fatigue that I'm feeling, yes, I have a lot less patience these days. It's actually a general thing with movies, to be honest. Maybe it's just because again we have so much choice and everything. And like I think Oinko said, like she's got a lot going on and stuff like that. So it's just like how much time can I actually sit here for? But in terms of one aspect, I'd like to kind of pinpoint. I think that kind of fuels my fatigue. It's so I'm very big on opening scenes, and I think it's because like when I first started kind of trying to write, um, I always was just start like I'll put all my energy into getting like this really good opener that would just hook everybody. And sadly, I couldn't actually like write further than that. I've not quite, you know, cracked the code on actually finishing a script, but my openers I always felt were pretty strong. Um, and so when I watch my, that's where I think my fatigue comes from is when I watch a film that I think has an amazing premise, or I watch an opening scene and I'm just drawn in immediately, only for the next scene to take me out completely. I've seen this a few times, but I think the most recent example of this was when I decided I'm very late to the party. I usually am, but I decided to watch Water and Gary. And honestly speaking, I don't think I have ever gone from an extreme high to an extreme low so fast in my life. Um, the opening scene of Water and Gary is fantastic. That like the cold open with the chase, and I'm sorry for the spoilers, but then ending with the gunshot, I was like, I'm seated. This is it. This is great. Only to be hit with a time lapse card and what I think was actually I'm sorry, I don't like to bash films. I know they take a lot of effort and stuff. I've tried to make them myself. It's not easy, but as an audience member, strictly as an audience member, that the narration, the voiceover in the narration was anyway. And then to be hit with another title card right after that bit of narration, I checked out immediately. I just turned it off. And I think I've seen that a few times. You know, in certain films, like hold on one second, can I have that, please? Thank you. Um, where it just opens so well, or I read the synopsis and I think this is such an amazing premise, like fantastic. And then the more I watch, it either happens very fast or it happens slowly, kind of maybe like third act is usually where it most commonly happens. But yeah, on occasion it does happen very fast, where you watch a great opening scene, or you've read an amazing synopsis and you're just like, okay, this is my kind of film, and then you start to see things and you're just like, I don't. It's not even tallying. Like the synopsis and what I'm watching on screen are not. They don't match up. um, so I don't know, like that's where my fatigue comes from, but I'm hopeful because I have seen some good stuff, especially in the animation, um, you know um, side of things. Like people are trying to push boundaries and coming up with amazing ideas, digging deeper into the culture. um, and I think that there's some great stuff coming very soon. I think funding and some intention and structure behind everything, and that's kind of part of what I'm trying to do. Like I feel like, sorry to kind of harp on a little bit about business, but distribution has to be looked at as a global game. I understand that we have a ready and waiting 200 million strong public who wants to watch our stuff and we want to see ourselves on screen. But I think if we don't serve them up something good pretty soon and consistently, I think we're going to lose them. And I think that we're going to drop the ball. And I mean, things fall apart is just the beginning. That's going to be the, if it bangs, if it does well, that could be, if we're not careful and intentional, that could be the beginning of the end. Because if it does well, then Hollywood will come for more, and they won't always involve us. We have a Nigerian, and I mean a very prominent African man, um, you know, involved in this, and so there's that. But unless like the diasporans, it seems like it's only when the diasporans kind of champion these things that they're, you know, and so I really don't want a situation where we suddenly are not the ones telling our stories anymore. We've lost, um, you know, that privilege, because it's not a right actually. It is a privilege, and if we lose that privilege, then it. But again, I don't. I would say on an existential level, I don't have Nollywood fatigue because I am hopeful for the future. I think that there are people who are being intentional, who want to help, who want to make sure that our stories are told on a global scale. And I think it just starts with being intentional about the audience. Like we can't focus on just the local. We do not have those numbers. We don't have India's 2 billion, for example, and we're a continent that is very, very fragmented. So we have to think of this as a global game and start to write stories that not just write them, but execute them in a way that audiences worldwide begin to take an interest. Otherwise, we're going to lose that privilege. That's me.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Dana. A lot of input and the business perspective in there. Um, yeah, I mean, like if you depends on how you zoom in or zoom out. For me, I guess I might have Nollywood fatigue or not. There are some bright sparks here and there, and some people I'm hopeful. I think there's a way. Okay, let's just say we're pivoting into the Nollywood fatigue. The people that have Nollywood fatigue, so let's just go into that straight now. Like, if you can tell us why you think you have Nollywood fatigue before I start downloading my own. Obviously, I have huge sympathies for for members of NFC. All right, Vanessa.
Not you trying to make disclaimer because you knew what my very first line was going to be.
Okay, first off, I pointed that Incon does not have. Incon is
Ah,
one of the day
shift,
ones.
shift,
Incon is one of
shift,
the day
shift,
ones
shift,
of
shift,
NFC,
shift,
and she
shift,
does
shift,
not
shift,
have
shift,
it.
shift.
So
I
blame
need you to
yourself.
actually shift. Oyiko is the rare exception in Nollywood Film Club. Always has been, always will be. You are the reason for my fatigue. You specifically, you are the reason for my fatigue. If you like, do all this disclaimer. I feel especially bad for Nollywood Film Club because you know what you've done. You
Let
love
me ask you a question.
keep
Let me
quiet.
ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. If I don't say she watch film this week, how many Nollywood films do you watch this week? Is it equal to zero?
I'll tell you what the difference is. I'll tell you what the difference is. Unfortunately, and maybe it's a conditioning thing. Again, your fault. You've conditioned me. So the difference is when I'm watching a film for Nollywood Film Club, I take it quite seriously, you know. I pay attention to what I'm watching. I try to give it the attention that it deserves as a film, innit? For the purposes of speaking as honestly as I can on the space. Otherwise, wallahi, I would just be watching film for vibes and inshallah. Like I used to before you discovered me and turned me into this person. Which I still do on off days when we're not watching films for Nollywood Film Club. I will watch YouTube Nolly, the good, well, not the bad, but the somewhat ugly. And you know what? I will go to sleep. Last, if I feel really offended by what I watch, which I would not even stay around to watch something that I find really offensive. If in the first 10 minutes I find the storyline of this offensive, I will turn off my thing and go away in peace and go and watch something. Perhaps watch my comfort Bollywood films for the sake of it. I will remove myself. But I cannot DNF a Nollywood Film Club film, right? I can't in good conscience DNF a Nollywood Film Club film, especially if I know I'm going to come and speak that week. There've been years, I think last year, there've been a couple episodes where I knew I just couldn't. And not because I thought the films would be bad, just from a one of such films was Collision Course. I refused. I absolutely refused. I will not be doing that to myself. And I did not watch and I did not join the space and I did not speak on it. Another film I did that for was Foreigner's God. I DNF'd Foreigner's God. I watched the first couple minutes of Foreigner's God. I DNF'd it and I did not watch it and I did not come to speak on the space.
So sorry,
But
what's
if I,
DNF?
I did not finish it. I cut it off immediately and I stopped there and I go about my business, innit? I because I do that with books. But I feel like I've made a commitment. Unfortunately, even though I didn't sign it, but it seems like Mr. C had all of us do blood covenants in our dreams and we didn't know. But but I feel like I have a commitment when I say I'm coming to Nollywood Film Club to talk about a film. If I've decided I'm going to spend my Sunday evening doing that, then I'm going to watch these films from the beginning to the end. Sometimes twice, sometimes three times if I'm going to go back to mention specific scenes. Like there's a commitment to this that I have given. And so again, I'm blaming Mr. C, not entirely, but you carry a large part of the blame because before I joined NFC, I just watched films for the sake of watch. I was never someone who cared enough about critiquing films and all of that. Books, I would do that. I would care about you know what an author said or did or the character development and all of that. For books, I would do that. But films, I never did until I joined this film club. So yeah, a large part of my Nollywood fatigue. But beyond Mr. C cannot carry the blame for an entire industry, innit? I would like to point out that I don't know if it was last year or 2 years ago, we had a similar space about Nollywood fatigue. We had a space about Nolly fatigue a few years ago, maybe 2 years or last year. And so I want to tell you guys that my fatigue is deep in my bones and it is 2 years and counting. Um, and unfortunately, it is worsening because unfortunately, while Damola, because of his business perspective, can be optimistic about the future of Nollywood, I do not have business perspective. I don't work in Nollywood. I don't engage with people in Nollywood except for the rare whatever on Twitter or if I see them in person at a film premiere or whatever. I do not have insider knowledge that makes me hopeful about the future of Nollywood. What I have is what is right in front of me. And save for the few bright spots here and there of indie filmmakers, small filmmakers who actually care about the craft and care about putting out films that make you feel, films that are well made. By and large, the quality of Nollywood films, unfortunately, is dropping. And I think I've had this. I think I've said this before a few weeks ago about how we get to a point in Nollywood where we feel, ooh, this might be a turning point for the good, and unfortunately, it's a turning point for the bad. It's happened so many times that I shouldn't at this point be surprised, but I still am. I shouldn't at this point be taken aback, but I still am because Nollywood has a way of giving you false hope. Nollywood has a way of making you feel like, yeah, we've made leaps and bounds, which we have. We've made leaps and bounds, and we can only get, there's only up from here. But somehow, síbẹ̀síbẹ̀, Nollywood will still show you pé Zalayo, there is lower levels than you thought there were. We can go lower. If you think we've gone low before, no. While we may have improved in certain places, we will go lower than the low in other places. And it's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. And the sad part is they're patting themselves on the back for this. Meanwhile, I'm here suffering for someone to come. It's not funny for someone to come here last week and tell me I'm whinging over a film. To tell us we're whinging over films. Koburu, wallahi, I won't whinge over a film anymore. I won't whinge over a film anymore. I just won't watch. And I'm genuinely I'm getting to that point. There have been so many films released on Prime in the past few weeks, and a few to be released more. And I haven't seen any of them. I don't care to watch any of them. I will not watch any of them. Case in point, Criminal by this is a personal choice. I will not watch anything that has Ni Akumolayo's handwriting on it. It's just not something I want to do anymore. I know what to expect at this point, and I'm not going to put myself through that. But by and large, more and more, I am getting to the point where I'm not interested anymore in watching these films. And the only thing that's keeping me watching any of these films is coming here to talk about said films. And in fact, we're at a point where now the workings of the industry is making it near impossible for us to have any films to watch, anyways, to come and talk about on the space. So we might dead watching films anyway. So like I'm at that point where I don't care anymore, unfortunately. Nollywood, I still love you as a concept. The concept of Nollywood, unfortunately, has my heart. And I care about quite a number of actors in this industry who I actually think are incredibly talented and have great potential. But unfortunately, the bigger machine, nah. I just can't be bothered to care anymore.
Well, okay. So all I had was Nollywood is to blame for her fatigue, which is fair. Fair, fair, fair. All right. Um, Damola, is it quick
Better
information?
Sorry,
better
I just
collect
I
your
just wanted
part
to
of
ask
the blame.
a question, please, just a quick question because I hear what you're saying. I just want to know if you feel like do you feel like because I feel like Nollywood Film Club is I won't call it an outlier, but it does attract a specific type of audience member. I find. Do you think that that fatigue that you're feeling? Do you think it is more widespread than this particular societies like this? Do you think that people?
You know the funny part in it, Damola. While we may be outliers in the case of films that are beloved by the vast majority, where they think, oh, Nollywood has done fantastic in this, or Nollywood has blown it out of the park in this. The general consensus, except for the people who watch, which are a large majority who watch the YouTube Nolly, whatever, and even them don't think that this is a what's it called? This is groundbreaking filmmaking. They don't. Um, a large majority of Nigerians don't watch Nollywood as much as those of us who are NFC members do. Even the filmmakers, even the people who are making the films in the industry, don't watch Nollywood as much as we do. And it's very indicative of the general audience, and that's why only certain people, Funke Akindele, will get the numbers that she gets, and why other filmmakers who go to cinemas don't get the same numbers, because people aren't gonna one spend money watching Nollywood because they never really did watch Nollywood like that. We came up in an era. I grew up in an era where it was du jour to say I don't watch Nollywood because we didn't. Nigerians watched anything but Nollywood. So while it might seem like we're the outliers in the case of films that go to streaming, or in films that are supposed mainstream successes, and we have a differing opinion because we're on NFC and we're supposedly more critical of Nollywood, we're still not the outliers in the sense of feeling the way we feel about Nollywood. They might not feel a fatigue because they don't watch it as much as we do, but they don't. But they don't care about Nollywood. We care about Nollywood. We watch more films, and even without access to certain films, we watch more Nollywood than a vast majority of Nigerians do. So I don't think this is the thing. It feels like and that's why I say some of the playlist because I could have gone through life like the rest of the general populace, not watching so much Nollywood and maybe watching the one-off web series and the one-off this and the one-off that and going about my day. But here we are.
You know,
Even though I won't lie, even pre Nollywood Film Club, I think I watched more Nollywood than most people did. I was watching all the films on all the African Magics. I was watching all the initial Ebony Life projects. I was watching near everything. I won't say Nollywood. I was watching everything that came out of the Nigerian media space. I watched reality TV. I watched reality TV competition. I cared about media in Nigeria. And I don't think a vast majority of people do. And that's why you say we don't have the numbers that we have, because we don't have a culture of caring about film anymore or ever did. I don't know, man.
I agree with Vanessa, but in the opposite way. In that I do think that vast majority of Nigerians, vast majority, their media they're going to watch is in Nollywood media, but it's not the media that we are watching. And also, media is changing, and Nigeria is no different. They are probably watching a lot of sketches on YouTube. They are probably watching a lot of like Asaba, all those things. Which in its own way, it's also not in its own way, it's also movies and all that stuff and all that. There are many things that has to do with distribution. And I'm sorry to say this, but the old way of distribution of going to the movies might be dying. Even in China was supposed to be the what's it called? The place where all movies are going to be saved. Even China is reducing its building of what's it called? Movie theaters. So movie is changing because technology is changing because people now have these things on their hands. And sometimes people want to watch quick things. Like even in K drama and drama and Asian drama, something. A lot of people are watching those like 1 minute what's it called? TikTok drama things. My mother is not even watching Vicky as much anymore. She's watching all those, and it's quite fake. Like the thing is that it's so low budget production, but people are connecting to it. So all this I don't know, but I'm just gonna say, yeah, people are watching it, but this type people are tired of it, and a lot of filmmakers don't actually watch Nollywood. You know why? Because I was watching this YouTube what's his name? Nollywood Fellows interview with the guy with the scholar or something, and he mentions that he went to a workshop and a lot of those actors and directors and something are in there. Not one of them mentioned like an old Nollywood movie. They're all mentioning Hollywood or Asia, and they are making movies for Nigerians. So everybody, those filmmakers, and I'm not saying they shouldn't watch that, but honestly, they are just repeating things that used to happen, that used to be popular in Hollywood, that is not even longer popular for Hollywood audiences anymore. And of course, it's going to feel old because we were also watching Hollywood when they were watching that Hollywood thing. And by the time it comes and they are redoing it for Nollywood, it feels outdated to us because it is outdated. It is outdated.
Yeah, I actually want to add just in addition that I think you find that even people on here generally, I think we generally agree with more than with the general public more than you think. In the sense that I think if you ask a lot of the general audience, the people that watch, you know, the type of Nollywood films, what they think about Nollywood films in comparison to, say, a Hollywood film. If you hear them describe it in ways, I think they'll describe it in ways in that I think a lot of Nollywood filmmakers would be uncomfortable with. You know, I don't know this for sure, but this is just something I feel. I feel like those people know that there's a huge gap between. It's just that they enjoy watching that level of schlock, and that's fine. It's fine for people. I just I don't think our filmmakers are being honest with themselves when, if you come to, especially a film we're discussing, and you think that, oh no, this is something most people will be happy with. The box office numbers are not in support of you. They're just not. Put your film in the cinema and see how much Nigerians really like your film. Do that and see the genuine interest in your film. That's what I would say. But yeah. Um, uh, Damla, we'll come back to you. But Wayne, you wanted to say something.
Good evening. I just want to add something about like what we were talking about before I speak about my your answering your Nollywood fatigue question. So let's to it's not a pushback, like in response to what Damola said. I have like maybe like my close circle is like maybe 7, 8 guys, like on the island where I stay. And every time like I am watching a Nollywood film or I'm about to prepare for like a space or something, they're always like, leave this Nollywood alone now, right? And whenever I am like pouring out my heart, because I do get very emotionally connected and I begin to like pour out my heart, they're just always like smiling, like we've told you to leave Nollywood, right? I think the large majority of the public has some sort of fatigue, where like, and their fatigue happened like a long time ago, like they've already moved on, and when they see like maybe 1 or 2 good Nollywood films, they do watch it. But I think our opinions are very indicative of people's opinions, because it's not as if we're not handpicked, it's like it's open to everybody. And sometimes we come on here and all of us are like, this film is bad, and there's 1 or 2 guys that like, what, maybe this film isn't as bad. And when we have like conversations with them, we see their point of view. And for some of us, we also see why people would like it, right? Like, so we are not even saying like this film is outrightly bad. We're like, I understand why someone could like this, but this doesn't work for me. So that's answering that. And then the reason for Nollywood fatigue, honestly, is the people in Nollywood. So I was watching a film 2 days ago. I think it came out 2 days ago, Fame and Fury on YouTube, by our auntie, Bimbo Ademoye. Yeah? And midway through the film, I paused. I stared at my screen for like 10 minutes. And the only question in my head was, what is she trying to say? Like the film has so many, like I'm never going to talk about that, right? The film is giving me headache. But I was sitting down and I was wondering, what is she trying to see? Like before you produce a film, before you direct a film, before you pick up your pen, before you open your Final Draft Pro, whatever you used to write your script, there has to be something in your head that you are trying to see. There has to be a story that you want to tell us. And for many films, it's like you can see that they have money to shoot a film. That's why they did it. They're not really trying to say anything. And there is a level, or there's an amount of impassionate work you can consume before you get tired. Like if everything that you keep consuming is just people just putting out stuff because they can, at some point in time you yourself will be tired. So I think at least my Nollywood fatigue is there's just too many films out there that people put out there because I have a camera, I know actors, my guy is an editor, let's shoot a film. But as opposed to people that have something to say, because when someone has something to say and they do the film, we can like critically dissect the film and say, oh, this was bad, or okay, I get what you're trying to say, but this, or we can even come and start fighting and be like, oh, this person is sexist, and but like they are trying to say something, but most people are just not trying to say anything. And it's at some point in time we get fatigued. That's like where my own comes from, man. So yeah.
All right, thanks, Wayne. Damala, did you have another question, or before we go to Jabari?
You know what? Go around though, other people. I feel like I'm.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Jabari, did you have something you wanted to say? Jabari, Jabs, Jabs, my
Yeah,
guys. Okay, all right. Okay, nothing from Jabs. All right, Ichena, is there something you wanted to say?
can you hear me?
Yeah, I just wanted to build on what Wayne was saying. That's one of the pitfalls of YouTube. Like, like as things are right now, cinemas are not really working out the way they used to, and the major streaming outlets seem not to be. I mean, Prime already closed the door, and Netflix seems to gradually be losing interest in Nollywood. And people are saying, "Oh well, why don't you just go to YouTube?" And you see, one of the problems with YouTube is first of all, the very low level of monetization. It's if you're gonna if you want to make any kind of profit or break even on YouTube, you're just gonna have to consistently do extremely simple room and parlor movies. But what's worse is the fact that YouTube, they're constantly changing their algorithm, and the way the algorithm works right now is they don't really reward you based on individual movies. They reward you based on the cumulative hours viewed of your content on your channel. So in order to make money on YouTube, you just have to keep on cranking stuff out every week. And that's the reason why there are so many garbage movies. It's not as if people are saying, I'm just going to shoot something just because I can. They're doing it because in order to make money, you have to constantly put out videos. You can put out one video that gets 2 million views. Good for you. But that's not really what pays you. What pays you is constantly coming out with stuff every single week. And that's the reason, and that's one of the pitfalls of YouTube. It just reduces, I mean, of course, the movies already were content, but it just reduces it to just basically the same. It works the same as doing skits, so you can't expect people to have anything reasonable, anything substantial to say in the movies when you have to crank them out like you're cranking out IG skits. And that's unfortunate. And that's the reason why I really don't see YouTube as the future. I mean, I think about a year ago, I was talking about how YouTube is so great, that YouTube is, what most Africans actually watch. YouTube is the mainstream of Nollywood. Even the people who were doing so well on YouTube, like Ruth Kadri and Uchenna, what's his name, Nabo and whatnot, they're really falling off because it requires such a pace to keep on churning out this material. And you can just tell that at this point people are just emailing it in. So I really don't think YouTube is the future, and I wonder what the future is going to be. I mean, I'm very interested in knowing what Damola is doing and what other alternative distribution we can find, because if we're going to rely on YouTube, it's just going to run this industry into the ground.
All right, no, thanks, Jenna. I agree. Jabs, are you back?
Yeah.
All right. What did you want to tell us?
I think a major issue is the form of media consumption is changing. I think most Nigerians, okay, let me not generalize, but a lot of Nigerians watch TikTok, watch IG than Netflix or Prime. So form of media is changing, and we're still like we don't have like a stable ground framework economically to actually make money. Filmmakers to actually, that's why we have a lot of indie filmmakers. Like we don't have is why our own studios, we use our own cameras, we're self-financing, and then we're not really making money out of it. So it affects the mentality towards the output of what they actually then make. So everything is just a hustle to them. So they're just hustling, like just putting out content and making money. And when you even see the marketing for their, in quotes, theatrical releases, a lot of times it's not well done, it's not well thought out. It's just everybody's just hustling. They don't care about impact. They just care about getting fed now. And it affects the way they make movies. Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I think. Did
Okay.
you hear me?
No. Yeah. I did hear you. All right. No, thanks. Little Wonder.
Okay. I think my my point of view after listening to a lot of people, the is it will I use the word quality control? What are we prioritizing? Are we prioritizing releasing quite a lot of pictures would at like after a while it loses its is creative, or something like that. Because at the end of the day, when you think about it, as a creative, a great idea cannot come to you maybe once every week or once every month. A great idea can come to you maybe once in a year or maybe once in 2 years. People that write scripts or write screenplays or are creators would understand what I'm trying to say. So I don't know how we can go about this, because there's also, I won't even blame anybody who tries to find a way to at least break even after they've put in their added money into a project, and they kind of maybe they will I use the word they stupefy it, or they make it as lacking of um much content as much, so that it would reach most people as they could, so that they will at least be able to break even from whatever it is that they invested into making the film. I won't blame them. The economy is actually terrible. So if you paid for all these things, you are having it at the back of your mind that we have to find a way to make sure that we make this money back, so that we will not make a film and get into debt because we want to make films. Do you get? But that notwithstanding, I think there's also a way people can um go about it and still come up with quality. I was watching this 50 Cent interview, and then it was like, just from his own point of view. I'm not saying this, nobody should quote me or anywhere or quote him. He said it's easier or better to make a series like a TV series, make stuff for TV, in the sense that there's episodic like episodic TV, instead of making like a big budget movie. Because with the episodic whatever, you can create one concept and then you play around that concept using the characters. So instead of you doing like releasing 10 movies on your YouTube channel, why not just create one concept of like a web series or like an episodic whatever, and then you release it maybe once every 2 weeks or once every month or whatever, and then you use the time in the middle of that release to promote the episode that you've released or whatever. I think it's still more like, it still gives you a chance to think about this concept that you've already created, and then create stories around it, episode one, episode two, than having to like release one movie and then after like maybe 2 weeks or 1 week release another movie or shoot another movie. It would have a brain drain on you as a creative, even if you're a good script writer, or you're a good director, or good producer, or script whatever. It would eventually have this brain drain effects on your creative ability. So if we can maybe, I don't know, change the strategy that we are using to create these pictures, if we can make it like more of, you create a concept and then you work around it. There's this series that people always talk about, Wura, Wura,
Sorry,
yeah.
this one that you're probably encouraging into maybe another segment where we might be discussing what we can do to curb it. But right now we're in
Okay,
the exploring stage. So let me
okay.
get to Elizabeth. I don't know if Elizabeth wanted to say anything about fatigue. I think Elizabeth is one of the people who has actually declared fatigue for Nollywood. So we're just discussing what you reckon is causing it at this point. Elizabeth, do you have anything to say?
Yes. So, I personally, I think I've looked at the pattern. I think whatever is happening right now is, especially with Nollywood, is cyclical. It's possibly also happening with the rest of the world, and possibly also coincided with how the rest of the world is reacting to streaming movies. So the sense that there is some form of, we are inundated at the same time. If you notice, if you open Netflix right now, you probably just get tired of scrolling, or you start a film and not complete it. Then you go to the Blue app, similar things happen. Then you go to YouTube, similar things happen, and then you just shut down the entire thing and then take a rest. Um, I first noticed this with how streaming is, even with watching TV. You might think you like binge watching films or even TV series, it could have worked for you some years back, maybe 7, 10 years ago. But right now, binge watching itself gives you fatigue. At a point, you get tired of the entire situation. So that's first, I would say the mode with which we consume film, TV has changed, and generally there's a lot of fatigue from there too. So when we try to localize it, I will say that, especially with Nigeria, the situation is going to be cyclical, right? If it's coming as a shock or new thing for most of the industries, even people that watch K drama will tell you that this year has been shit. Sorry, pardon my French. So if the rest of the world is experiencing the after effects of the way we consume media, especially TV, film, and such, our own problem is quite unique and that's why I use the word cyclical, right? You would note, and I think we discussed this before previously, how you watched Nollywood in the 90s, then the early 2000s, and there was a time where the marketers became god.
Yeah. Have we
Does
lost
everybody
it?
hear?
Okay, it's not just me. Okay, maybe call has come.
Nollywood. I don't know. Can you hear
Yeah, I
me?
can hear you now.
All right. So that was when it became fashionable to say, I don't watch Nollywood. And then after a while, we had from Aflion, 30 Day, what is it today? It's that one with Genevieve and then we had some films and, there was a bit of people started catching on again. Iroko TV, then it came like small emergence and then the cinema. So everyone woke up. So it sort of became some new thing in quotes. And then when we had wedding party that most people went to go and watch at the cinemas, then it became like a new lifestyle. People going to the cinema more, people going to the cinema to watch Nollywood. And now if you notice, we are experiencing another dip. A dip caused by lack of vision. I think I agree with what Jabari said when we don't have like a proper structure to monetize. We've talked about prior mediums and abandoning mediums, but that's not the point right now. The point is when life gives you an opportunity, how do you capitalize on it? Nollywood had this moment where more people were watching Nollywood. And what did it do with that moment? It squandered it. We could not, because no offense to us, in all ramifications, in all ways, excellence seems to elude us in almost everything. We start doing something and we can't keep up the the structure again. Maybe because this industry is quite structured. We can't say storytelling has improved. We can't say acting has improved. We can say technology is one thing that will often improve because of innovation, but we can't say any of these things are better because we're turning in the same thing, or maybe even not the same thing. It makes no sense. You're watching if you're mad. I was talking about YouTube. I like YouTube. I, for one, moved to YouTube, but then I only watch films on YouTube on just two channels now. I think Omonioboli or Film People, and sometimes Ogumala Zone. And even now, I'm even particular. I've not seen anything in weeks, a month now, I guess. But that's the way it happens, right? And that's why I say cyclical. There will probably be a moment, and I do not have faith in any of the people currently there. There will come a moment, probably another medium, right? I don't know what else is going to be, where there will be another uptick. But I don't know. It is not now. We are experiencing our down. We are really in the trough right now. And I don't know what the plan is, but for one, I am very, very tired.
Wow. Okay. Understandable. Dama, did you want to ask some of these questions? Or I don't know whether it's feedback or you had before.
Some of what I want to say I've forgotten, but let me see. There was about YouTube. I think I had some pushback about YouTube. Uh, just yeah, but I think I've taken a lot of the points. And I mean, I think Oyinka and Elizabeth both brought up a lot of good points there. That it's cyclical. It is a little bit worldwide. People are turning more to making short stuff because can't afford to make big content anymore, and even the attention spans of the audience um, seem to be dwindling. People are just going towards more short stuff and everything. I liked what Combrazer said about YouTube in the whole cumulative thing, and it makes me wonder. I do have one question actually that I just remember the question now. So if generally the notion is that um, you know we people are not going to try and make anything kind of groundbreaking. I say groundbreaking loosely. I just mean as opposed to something that you can just kind of vibe to or just do while you're reading a book, right? Uh, Quality films or whatever, right? I- Is there like because there's still channels like Omeletto, right, that are doing like award-winning short films and stuff, and they seem to have millions of subscribers. I mean, is there any scope for that still in the world where where people are kind of just going towards, you know, short, don't think about it too much content, or is there still a place for short, quality, premium, thought-provoking cinema in the world? As a YouTube channel, by the way, not in the cinema.
Uh, I don't know. I don't know that, to be honest, a lot of our YouTube audience are going to YouTube for thought-provoking cinema. I think Elizabeth, Vanessa, and Uchenna are the people on here who apparently have discovered the people who on YouTube have tried to raise the game. But what I've heard on YouTube, and what I've heard is that um, even recently with those people, that standards have dropped. And like what Uchenna said, the problem is YouTube is incentivizing you to just put out things constantly. So, I imagine the good things take a bit more time, and so I don't know that that's going to be a solution. Like, I'm only just saying things which Jeanette said in that respect, but yeah, I don't see that as a home for higher quality content, to be honest. But who knows? And M, who's M? Atelier.
Yes. Hi, sorry. I totally forgot. um, my point just supports the last two speakers really. In Nigeria, we have a thing that once we find something that's going good, everyone rushes to do the same thing, and there's literally no thought process or innovation behind it. Um, I have been, and the someone said that things are silent, and it is really really bad because even that capitalization has gone to K-pop and has gone to South African TV shows. The I watch a lot of movies and series now on foreign media, and I'm like, why can't these people adapt these stories, especially relatable stories, especially a lot of South Korean shows that will fit very well into the Nigerian narrative and make it good. I don't even mind them copying it word for like literally word for word. Hollywood does that, but ensure that it's done well and it relates to us. But that's not the case, and I've kind of find it weird or a disadvantage that we don't have actual structures or big film houses that are known for putting out quality shows rather than just anything for what if for profit. Um, it's really really bad that if we kind of lose and my fear is that if we lose the audience that we have now, we're not going to get it back for another decade or 20 years. It's going to go to South Africa, is going to go to South Korean TV shows, and I don't even know how we can fix it. I'm literally at lost for words because I don't think I've seen any TV show or film that has had a good script in a very, very, very long time. Not even talk less of acting, just a good script. Anyway, that's my rant for now. Thank you.
All right. No, thank you, M. Anka, is Yeah, no, go on.
Oh, if you want to move on, it's okay too. Well, okay.
Okay. Go on.
I will go on because you decided for me to go on, okay? I just want to say everybody here is talking, and this is the thing that I want to say. It's like there's a structural issue that is not just about okay having structures and all that stuff. Film film markets and film things are always connected to, and I know I've said it so many times on this something. Why is K-pop and Korean movies popular now? You should also ask yourself the same thing about Japan. And you should ask yourself about other type of movies too. Also, American movies. Why is American movies as popular as they are all over the world now? The answer? Money and also governmental support. Why is it that all American studios and their movie studios have gone through so many changes and so many something because now their movie studios are not movie studios anymore. They are owned by Wall Street. And you can say, yes, since the beginning, Wall Street has always gave investment and everything. But in like the golden age, there was usually one boss that was making that decision. And Wall Street kind of left them. But now everything is now capitalization. And even that is going down. That's why the global economy is going as it is. They always make movies. Even in America, nobody's really going to the movies as much anymore. Because it's costing so much more. There's inflation when people can't afford it. I haven't been to the movies in a while. The movie theater closest to me was closed down because hey, you can't make it. So therefore, I am not going to halfway out to the movie something because I have work to do, and by the time I come back, it's very late. Nigeria, Korea is making that popularity because Korea puts money into their stuff. The Korean government put money, and the Korean government see their movies and something as a way of soft power. Now, is a question, does soft power actually work? I don't know. That's for scholars to talk about because the same thing with America. All those big superhero movies that you see, they get money from the military because the military finds them to be useful in promoting whatever the hell the American military wants them to promote, a positive look of the American military. If Nollywood wants to succeed, it needs money. Artists always need money from the beginning of time so that they can stay there and think for like 2 years or whatever, and do their blah blah blah, and then produce something for their patron that will increase their patron's image, sanitize their patron's image. That's what you need. If I'm being realistic, that's what you need. Ideally, I don't think people should be doing that because then you're selling your soul. But to be realistic, yeah, you need to turn to the federal government of Nigeria, tell the current government of Nigeria the multiple things, and actually hope that the federal government of Nigeria actually has more than the level of, because Nigerian politicians are interested in that. They are corrupt. All government is corrupt. But they're corrupt in the fact that they're corrupt in a very stupid way that they don't realize that they can use the money to build more of their power so that they can take more money, like Americans do, like American politicians do. They're so corrupt. They go in, they're not as rich, and they come back, they come out millionaires. The same thing happens here in America. So this is the thing. You need that. And especially even now, technology has changed. The movie theater thing is not working. And it's not working it's not working in China. And China, why did Chinese government build all those movie theaters? To be overtaking something? Well, because they are trying to create money for ways and employment for their people. They're trying to show their people, the government is trying to show the people, oh, look, all this thing is happening. And China's economy is reducing. The growth in the economy is reducing. So is the movie something reducing too. And before, America wanted to always put their movie in China. But now China is like, okay, we are making enough of our movies, and now we're going to reduce the amount of movies that you can import into us. So America is losing money. That industry is about to come down. Maybe in 50 years, who knows? This is the thing that Nollywood has to do. That's the answer to all this. Because you need money so that your artist can stay 100% in freedom to make something. That's the only structural issue. I'm just going to tell you.
Okay. All right. Wayne says we don't need more money in Nollywood. We are wasting the one we have, and I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more.
The reason why they're making all that movies and they're putting all those things in YouTube is because they need to make money. So they're going to make crap. You do need more money. No matter how you're going to say, you do need more money so that they can do
Were they
whatever.
not making crap? Were they not making crap before they went to
I,
YouTube?
I'm,
Or
I
income?
even
Because you are
I'm
implying
telling you,
that
even that. Yes, they were making
there
crap
was
before, but I am going to tell you the truth. The thing of
Oh,
survival will
what's the truth?
always take after something. Why do you think
Yes, they are surviving. It's also because they have no structure
and
to
then you
make
need
And
money
there
money.
is
to
no
build
One,
culture
structure.
of
two, they are
You
excellence.
need
making
What
so
will
money to
much
happen?
build
crap
structure.
that the rest of the world don't want to watch it.
Okay, but
Let's start
I'm
from
not saying
there.
why the
They are
rest of the
making
world.
so much crap,
Let me
nobody wants
tell
to
you the
watch
truth, guys.
it.
You need money from the
So you
government.
will not give, it's like giving money, it's like
And it's
putting
going
your
to
money in
take
the
20 years.
toilet.
The
I
same thing. Go
promise
watch
you.
Korean things for
Government gave them money. This is not the first time they will collect money, because when Jonathan gave them money, Jonathan BOI gave them money. Oyinkon, please.
let me
Because
okay,
I
you're not
also want you
understanding
to be
me. You're not
grounded in the
understanding
reality.
me.
Wait,
You're
wait.
not
I
understanding me.
want you to be
I'm not
grounded.
saying
I
how they
understand you.
spend the money.
You
I'm
think
saying
government should take
the
this
truth is
charge.
that
Oyinkon, you think government to lead the charge
no, I don't think
first.
government will lead
Is
the
it
charge.
government?
I am actually
So what do
my
you want?
personal thing is this. I don't think people should. I don't think what America is doing is also right. I don't think those things are right. But
We don't care about America. Let's talk about
excuse me.
Nollywood.
I'm trying to say.
Nobody cares about
I'm
America.
not saying.
Let's talk
I'm
about
talking about structure.
Nollywood.
I'm talking about the reality of the situation. It's not about my
What's the
idealism.
reality of the situation?
Ideally, I don't think it should happen. And ideally, I don't think money is the only thing that's some. But to build structures, to build all those housings, to build all those things that you need, you will need a common amount of capital.
Oyinkan, let's start with this K drama you just talked about. Because you watch a lot now. Me and you, we watch. So let's talk about the Korean movie industry. They also, before their government went and pumped money into their film,
Mhm.
right? They were already building their soft power in such a way that Hollywood was already jacking their stories.
All those
That
times
was way
it
before.
started from the
Wait, now
90s,
let me
right?
finish
Okay.
now. Before, let me finish now. Before government started putting in money, before government said, wait, to people really like our films. Why don't we just pump money? Because the lady that brought Parasite to America, the lady that sort of like opened
But
the
I'm
way,
talking
you've
before
read her story,
Parasite.
you've read the entire, we've read the structure.
I'm
So let's
talking
talk
before
about
Parasite.
it. They had story. Wait now. They had story. They had structure. They had TV houses that functions with the fact that just the way we have, what we are relegated to is African magic, right? They had something like that, but it was not relegated to just one TV house.
Oh,
They have formats for wait now, let me
no,
finish.
continue.
They have formats for programs that show to the public every night, every 2 days. They had all of this structure in which no matter how bad their TV series, their TV shows will reach the audience at home. They started from doing 100, then they say, oh no, let's do 50. Then they say, oh, let's be doing 16. This is how
Okay,
this is how the
I'm
industry
gonna
grows.
explain
Wait now.
why don't
So,
we,
but when you come, wait, when you say we need money, what two things you have done, unless it is that you can't articulate your point. The two things you said here that you have said often and you have repeated is that, oh, America this, America that. Let's even leave
and
America,
I said
because
it's a
no
career
matter
thing,
how
and
much
I
you have
said
been
China
struggling,
too.
we are not even trying to replicate their structuring, because every
Okay,
film industry has a history to how they
yeah.
evolve. What we are saying is this: Nigeria's industry is chasing its shadow, right? Because we are not capitalizing on opportunity. The moment we could export our films to neighboring, people were watching Fuji House of Commotion, Super Story in East Africa, in South Africa. When we had all of that soft power, the point is we did not capitalize on it the way Bollywood capitalized on that, the way K-drama or Korean movie industry capitalized on that. We had that window of opportunity, even though we didn't have money then. We had relatable stories that people could watch. What you do in that instance is when BOI started giving money, because we used to see tweets now that filmmaker will be talking about filmmakers that will collect money from government and squander it, collect money from investors. We had people who don't have vision or they don't have the foresight to capitalize on opportunity. And let me tell you the thing about opportunity and time. When your window of opportunity opens, if you don't capitalize on it, like the last speaker said before you, it will take you another 10 to 20 years for you to get it right.
Which,
And it's just how the life is. But when you dumb it down to
to
money,
Korea?
you are
Which
saying that,
happened to
oh, they are
Korea?
poor. That's why
Meaning,
they went to YouTube. Did Nollywood start
okay,
yesterday or 2 weeks ago or 4 years
can
ago
I say
when
a few things?
Nollywood is due to say
The
properly?
thing that you said about Korea, about their movie houses and all that stuff that they had within the something, they had 3 TV stations, really big TV station that was controlled impactly by their government. It was really like in the 90s and 2000s where they actually now had something like African Magic, something like was it AIT, which is kind of independent. They had all those things, so which means it's still connected to their government building that. They had money.
We had
Number two,
NTA. Everybody that
number
wants
two,
checkmate or Fuji
Parasite.
House of
The
Commission
woman
watched
who
it on
brought
NTA.
Parasite
That's not
to
the
here,
point.
she's connected to what? She's connected to the Samsung family. The Samsung family is a Chaebol family in Korea, which is very much also connected to the government. So
Onyeka, what's the
this is
point?
it's. I'm just saying, all your examples still connected to. You need money. You need
Oyinkan,
access to
so
They
capital.
had
Oyinkan dúró náà,
money.
Mo ẹ dúró náà,
So
ẹ jẹ́ ń bi
again, the
Oyinkan
thing that
question kan.
you
Oyinkan, ẹ
also
jẹ́
need
ń
the
bi ẹ
government to
béèrè
be
kan.
behind you. I am just
Oyinkan,
telling
I want to
the
ask
true
a
fact
simple
of
question.
everything.
I want to
Hey,
ask a simple question. So, our people,
your simple question.
I'm sorry,
Ask your
it
simple
might seem
question
like a
because I
joke.
do
Because
like
no, Oyinkan, let me land. It's not
ask your
even a
simple
funny
question.
thing. Let me land. These people that you want to give money to now, do you have faith in their
Everything I
ability
want to
to
give them money.
hold on now? You can't
Okay.
just land the away in your that you want to give this money. These people that you want to give this millions and billions. Mind you, they've collected money from government before. They've collected money from
Yes.
they've collected grants. What's about grants? Plenty grants. So you can
Grants
I
that
do
they didn't
agree.
pay
I'm not
back.
oyin
saying
kan
I'm not saying they
ẹjẹ ń
didn't. They did
ṣetán
it.
oyin kan ẹjẹ ń
Jonathan gave
ṣetán
them money.
ẹjẹ ń
Also,
ṣetán oyin kan ẹjẹ ń
okay.
ṣetán. The people that have collected money in the past, if you say now, let's give them uncountable millions. I'm exaggerating the amount now because that's what we apparently need as an industry. If you give them the uncountable millions now that they need, do you think the films are gonna get any better?
Okay.
Sorry,
What's the
just to
next
add,
thing?
sorry,
What's the next
sorry,
thing? You do
and
let me tell you
Inko, let me
honestly,
just,
you guys are talking
Wait,
about
wait,
structure. To build
Inko,
structure, you need money. I never said the
Wait,
movies are going to become better. I'm just saying you need structure for the movie. You need
wait, wait. I just to ground perfectly what Vanessa is saying. Do you think the problem wrong with most short films is money? That's an example of something that there's clear money in there. Like, what's to stop all of our films being as like sort of poorly concepted as and poorly executed as what Mo did?
okay. Again, this is what I was saying. When I said you about the structures that will push your movies and get your movies, all those things, and you will need time for people to have time to be able to like work on movies. I'm not saying that there are direct correlation with the money. All those things to build the structures, to build the movie houses, to build all those things that become an entire part of an industry that keeps on encouraging those type of like moments of waiting to make art. You need money. I'm not saying what you guys are taking it is like I'm saying individual something. Once they get money, the movie will be good. There's a lot of like big budget movies that are horrible. But if you want those like more quietly something movies, those movies, even though those like indie movies that you see, they have patrons behind it. They have rich patrons behind it. The artist needs to eat. The artist needs to take time to make a good art. I'm not saying every single person is going to go do that, but those few movies that will like it's not Korean movies. I watch a lot of Korean movies. Very few is Parasite. A lot of them are crap, even till today. But everybody thinks about Korean movies something, but most of the movies that it comes out is crap. Very few becomes Parasite because Bong Joon-ho has the time and the something to be able to do that. That's what I'm saying. If you want the reputation, you need people to be able to get
So who will you give your money
and
to now?
structure.
Now, if they tell you to have
Now,
big
this is the
money,
thing.
give it to one
I'm
person.
not saying you give one month because you've already did that. Give it to one person. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you use that to build the structures and use that to build the connections that can get you into
What
other
does
ways.
the structure look like
Who
when you
will build
come?
For
the
Because you are
instance,
structure?
giving advice.
for,
Who will
What will the
build
for
who
structure
will
look
instance,
who
like?
a
who will
movie
build the
a
structure?
movie studio. A
Which
movie
movie
studio.
studio? That's the question
Like,
Mo is asking
like
you.
the movie.
You see,
Wait,
Let's
wait,
Mo
wait,
talk
wait,
is
wait,
about
wait,
all
just
the
wait. No,
movie
no,
giving
no, no.
studios that
followers
I'm not just
collected
opinion.
talking. I'm
money.
not just talking any random. Like those ones in America, like the Paramounts, all those things, all that can finance and wait and
And who
everything.
in
Can I say
so you
something?
So
want our Igbo?
all that you can go to the
Can I say
government
something, please?
to promote that. Those are the things that allow those type of movies to be
We're
made.
talking about Nigeria.
Yeah,
Movie
that's what I'm
studio
saying. We
wo
can
ni
do that in
Nigeria lo
a
ma fowó sí.
then that's what I'm
Queen, you have
saying.
your head in the cloud, and
In
I'm
many ways.
serious. You need to calm
In
down.
many
Can
ways,
I
you
can
guys are
I
arguing against me, but I'm saying that that's what you need for what you guys for what that to happen.
No.
No, I'm
I'm
not
trying to
saying that it's
understand.
going to
No,
happen like
I'm not
that.
against you. I'm not against you. I'm trying to understand the movie studio. Which one in Nigeria? Don't
We
bring
don't have
America.
one. Okay, that's my point. We
Okay,
don't have one.
So who? No. Now that we've
We do
accepted
now.
that
We
we
do.
don't
We
Why
have
don't
don't we
studio,
have
have that
studio?
paramount something.
Why
What
don't
we
we have
have
studio?
is some woman or some people that are just what's it called? Working
Yeah,
together.
that's what
they
we
have
have now.
studio
It
now.
starts from there. When you come, it
It
starts
Yeah,
from
starts
there. That's
from there,
That's
but for
structure.
them to
structure.
grow
we
bigger,
do have studios.
they need capital. From
Who
them to
told
grow
you they don't
bigger,
have?
The one they've given them,
Who told you
unko.
they don't have?
Can I just
they
say
need
something?
more capital than what they have.
Does Mo
I want to
Abudu
Do
push
look
you know
back.
like
how
she don't
much
have
those like
connections?
the type of you
Can
want to
I push
compete
back a
on
little?
that stage?
No,
You need to
Does
come
Mo
with
Abudu
money,
look like
love.
she don't have connections?
Let's
You
try
want to
and talk.
come, you have to come with money love, to compete on that stage.
Can I just say something? I just want to push back a little bit on Incline. I'm sorry, to kind of add to the pushbacks and stuff. Um, so just having worked, because I used to work at Film One. I worked at Film One from 2016 to 2019. This is why I got into distribution because that's what my background in film has mostly been. I've worked in distribution in West Africa. I've worked in distribution here in Canada. Um, so here's the thing: we do have studios. Film One did a deal with Hua Hua Media, a Chinese company, where they essentially got, was it $1 million or close to, or
$1
it
million
was like,
is no money, love.
Oinko,
Oh, you can get
The
out.
point I'm
Tell
trying to
you.
make, the point I'm trying to make is that at the time that that deal was done, that was a lot of money to get. It was a lot of money to get because, I mean, to make a sort of an average level film, people were spending something between 50 to 100. I know now it has gone up a lot, especially post COVID, but this was pre COVID. So things were a bit more affordable then. Okay, and that's just one deal. It's not like that's not their revenue reporting and stuff like that. I know because I worked for the company, so I know how much we were kind of making on movies and stuff like that. I'm not saying that we were all driving Lamborghinis or anything, but I am saying that, like, you know what, um, the lights were on, the films were coming, things were happening, and there was that deal, which was, yeah, a landmark deal and sort of a, you can call it almost an oasis in the desert, but it was something. The guys at Nemsia also came with their own. They got 500 mil. I'm not. This is not me pointing fingers at anybody who is getting money and not doing work, but this is just to kind of give you the point that, look, we do have studios. People are doing business on at very high levels. They're getting into a lot of rooms. It is not easy. It's not easy anywhere in the world to just access money. Inkblot have had I think two VCs recently, um, you know, basically reach out to them. I think they've even closed deals. I think they've closed either one or two deals with VCs. Um, I don't know the extent or the depth of those pockets, but they're VCs, right? So we can kind of assume that, you know what, there's some money um, coming in. So my point is that, like, there are studios. There may not be a lot, but I mean, even in the America that we keep talking about, there's only, I mean, especially with all the buying and selling of the studios, there's only really what, the big three, now maybe four or something, if you want to include Netflix as a studio, right, as a streamer. But so I mean, we're not competing at the same level. We don't have nearly the same money, but we do have some structure in place. Now, in terms of the money, I take your point about money. Having tried to make films myself at a very small level, I can tell you firsthand that yes, I understand. Everything costs money. Your time, even as a filmmaker, costs money. And so I can understand that. I don't think, I'm not even saying that you are saying that is the only problem, but I don't even necessarily think that it is the primary problem. I think that money has its place in our industry and it can solve certain problems. For example, the challenges with distribution, I think money is definitely a really good antidote for that because you need money to push films out, right? But but this is Nollywood Film Club, and I think we're kind of talking about primarily the quality of the stories that we are watching as it's a tough one because I'm sitting here as someone who works in the industry and also has tried to make films and is also an audience member. So sometimes I'm putting my audience hat on and I'm a little upset with things. And other times I'm putting my filmmaker hat on and I'm like, I get it. I get the challenges. And so I can't, especially when I haven't made an actual feature yet. I haven't gone through that ringer. I get it. Those challenges must be crazy. It's an extreme sport. Now, the money I think will fix the distribution thing to an extent because it'll get us channels. It'll open up pipelines. It'll open up the avenues for us to push the films out, right? But it won't solve the problem of quality. Money has never ever solved the problem of quality storytelling. Not
Okay. I just
there's no
wanted
in
to.
wait, let me finish. There's no industry that can boast that the level of storytelling in terms of quality of story was elevated by money. What the money can do for storytelling, I believe, is to push boundaries, is to open up opportunities to push those boundaries. So yes, you can't make a Marvel film on 50 million naira. The money is just not there. You don't have enough money for the VFX. You don't have enough money for the big names. You don't have enough money for this. But that doesn't mean you can't make a superhero movie on a 50 million naira budget or a compelling. Let me use the word compelling. A film that people would want to watch, or the story that people would want to hear. You can tell that with limited budgets. People do it all the time. Some of the best films, the cult favorites in the world, were shot on almost nothing, right? So I just think that, like, look, if we keep on pushing this whole thing of we don't have money, give us money and we'll give you something great. Give us money and we'll give you something great. The thing is, when there was absolutely no money, people were still making films. And then we got some money and the films got better. But where did they get better? Did the storytelling, and this is me just asking as an audience member, did the storytelling, the compulsion of those stories, did they increase? Did the stories become more interesting? Or was it just that the cameras we were using got better, so the visuals got better, the locations got better, the stardom of our cast got better, the locations we were using got better, the types of stories we could tell that increased. So it increased our capacity, but did it really elevate the? Why is it that we can watch a 90s film? I can watch Hostages today. I can watch Igodo. I can watch um, what's it called? Sorry, Tangled, or even what's it called? The first one, the one that is all about juju and doing money rituals, living in bondage. We can Naked the Pretty Serpent. We can watch those old ones and still enjoy them. There is an element of nostalgia there, but the fact of the matter is that the storytelling wasn't diminished by the lack of funds. What was diminished was things like being able to do car crashes and being able to do CGI that shows electricity coming out of somebody's hands and stuff. That's
Okay.
what I think a lot of people are saying, that the money is not going to change that. What changes that is intention and deliberation in terms of let's do something about this. And I get you. Sorry, last thing I'm going to say. I'm so sorry. I know I've been talking a lot, but last thing I'm going to say is that I take your point about keeping the lights on because I still work a 9 to 5 as much as trying to run my distribution business and trying to find money to make films. I get it. And I'm not for any reason telling anyone how to live their lives. But in Canada here, because of Canada is very similar to Nollywood. The only difference is we get a lot of money from government and not from private funding, right? So there's still a dearth of investment. It's just that it's dearth of private investment as opposed to public investment, which is Nigeria's case. But a lot of filmmakers have jobs and then still do film. Or when they are not making films, they get jobs and to keep the lights on so that they can keep that standard of I want to tell a story going until the money then comes and then they can make films. I think that for some, especially for a lot of the independents, because like we say, we only have a few studios, but for a lot of independents who have access to funding, it is not entirely a bad idea to diversify so that you can give yourself time to come up with something really. The actors are already doing it. That's what I think that they are diversifying so that they don't have to take every role that comes their way. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. But let's not pretend like they're starving. And because they are starving, poor them, they now have to, people now have to make, sorry, I'm not going to say rubbish films, but people have to make films that are not so compelling to the audience in order to keep the lights on. There's a million other things that they could be doing. There's actually easier ways to make money,
Right.
to keep the lights on, and then give something quality. Sorry, I've said a lot, so I'll stop here.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Samala. We give Anika a chance to either respond and then can move on or move to other people.
Perfectly. I think everybody's misunderstanding me. I am not saying the money is going personally to people's pockets. I'm talking about money to build an industry that includes distribution, that includes incentives that people can be able to write a good story. Because what I'm saying is not a magic bullet. I'm just talking about how the industry of filmmaking works. Number two, Parasite did take money to make. It took $15 million to make. And I'm also saying that as a way, as like, okay, if we're going to, let me finish. If we're going to compete on the global stage, movies has to change. You're going to need the money because all other places also have money to make. Remember, movie is a visual something, and it takes money to make it look like the way it does. Parasite looks great. Parasite is probably a well written what's it called script that probably took a long time, and then put that script, and it's not as well shot as it was. I don't think it will be. And then it also doesn't have the backing of like to bring to America of all that.
Anika,
I don't think it will.
Anika,
That's
sorry,
that's it. I'm not.
sorry.
Let me
Anika,
finish. Let me finish. Let
yeah,
me
yeah,
finish.
Anika,
Let me
sorry. No. Because like, wait, I
no,
feel
no,
like
no, no,
we'll
no, no.
get.
Let me go to my second point. Let me go to my second point before everybody.
You
Let
might
me,
maybe even go to your third point and
let me,
fourth point. I don't
wait,
mind.
wait, wait.
I need to interrupt you to say, can we stop making any comparisons to any other this
Okay,
thing? Because
okay,
I
okay.
don't find it
Okay.
useful or interesting because like we're talking about Nollywood
I,
and
I,
what.
I am just using it as a point, and let me go to my third point. Of course, I mean second point. Of course, I don't know why anybody thinks that I'm saying that the money will change the storytelling. It doesn't. I'm just being given a very factual something of people here keep talking about competing and opening it to the world, right? I personally do not give a crap about that. I will watch whatever is there. I don't give a crap whether it goes to something because I don't care because I feel like all that is just like what's it called? Shining yourselves. It's okay.
You should do because that's how we get
That
the money.
no, that's my personal opinion. But if you're going to come to me and ask me how can you get to that situation, I'm going to be realistic with you. If you want to compete in that something, if everybody looks is dressing like that, you're going to have to dress like that too. And that's what I'm saying. Personally, I don't think the money is going to change the storytelling. And the second thing was I was going to say to change the storytelling is that people need to more localize their story. They need to localize their story. You have to first of all look at the Nigerian thing and not just be an American copy or a something copy
I
because you already
disagree,
have.
but
That's what that's the other thing I'm going to put. All that together comes to something. I'm not saying that just because they have money, all this other situation is going to change. Because why would I say that? I watch American stuff. I watch Korean stuff. And all this thing. They do the same thing too. It's always going to continue. But if you want to get to their level, and that's the secret behind it. Okay, $1 million, $2 million, of course in Nigeria that's a lot of money. But if the budget for Korean for movies, just movies in general, in the international stage, and that goes to Cannes and does all that, is more than that, or you have to have some ideological something that is really, really strong behind you. If you're not saving women, or if you're not talking about something that liberals like to hear about from a poor country that is trying to change and become more progressive, if you don't have that behind you, or you don't have money behind you, what you're not going to find yourself there. That's just the honest truth.
All right. Okay.
I personally don't care about being there.
All right. Okay. Uh, just my general thoughts before we move to Cynthia. I don't know. I think there's something to be said about maybe funding some system that can help Nollywood be better at the more simple things. I just don't think that it's even a third of the issue right now, because other industries have been able to get there without it, and I don't think we are at our best place. And there's more money in the industry, and there's more of a structure probably in the industry now than there has been. And this is not our best storytelling phase, I would say. But I think I understand some aspects of Inco's. What was Incan saying? All right, let's see whether someone else has other things to say. Cynthia, did you have something you wanted to say?
Oh yes. So I wanted to say, or I was going to say when this space started, that the issue with my fatigue is because of Nollywood films are bad and all this other stuff. But the truth is, personally, for me, I'm not even watching anything, to be honest. So I don't even think my fatigue is just about Nollywood film being bad or being low quality. I'm not watching K drama. I'm not watching Hollywood. I'm not watching Bollywood. I'm only watching reality TV shows because it is that interesting. So, and I've thought about it, and I think what is causing my fatigue, and it's also affecting Nollywood, and I think someone else has already brought it, is because there's just too much content. That's my problem. There's just too much content. And I'm someone that when I eat food, if you give me a lot of food at once, I won't be able to eat it. But when I go and I start serving in portion and I keep eating, because I've tested, I'm longing for more. I'm longing for more. I want more of it. So I'm someone that's kind of like takes things like, oh, there's small content, there's small portion, and I'm able to like continue. So with Nollywood, there is just too much content. Yes, the quality has been low for a very long time. When I even started these spaces in 2022, when I joined Nollywood Film Club, the quality has been low since then. And yes, the quality is getting bad. But I've watched a lot of bad movies 3 times. And I think this year has just been the year that I go on Netflix, I go on Prime Video, I go on YouTube, I see so many things. And I'm like, you know what? I close it. There's just too much things available to watch. And it's just not working for me. And this is just my personal behavior towards things that I like a lot. When you have a lot of things out there, I just cannot take it. I'm someone that usually takes things in bits and bits and bits. Now, this does not excuse the fact that the quality of Nollywood is really, really bad. Okay, and even though, let's say this year there were less content, I would probably still get tired because I'm watching bad quality. But I just think this year there's just a lot of oversaturation, and it doesn't just work with someone like me. I know you said we should stay within Nollywood, but because my fatigue is generalized among industries, I also just want to talk about someone mentioning that another problem we have with the quality of Nollywood movies we see today is because filmmakers are not watching Nollywood and they keep watching Hollywood. And I just want to say that that's very important because with every for you to grow, okay, you probably have to stand on the shoulder of giants, or you probably have to understand what is missing, where the gaps are, and the kind of story people were attracted to, and how to improve on those kind of stories. So I also think that because these filmmakers are watching a lot of Hollywood, and They just want to copy and produce something like what Hollywood is doing, and they are missing the footprints or probably the legacy that was kept for them to learn from. We also get like a lot of stories that are unrelatable, and all this kind of stuff. And I'm also among the people that did not used to watch Nollywood when I was in Nigeria. And over my brothers, so I know somebody was talking about the general population of watching Nollywood. Over my brothers do not watch Nollywood, okay, and they're all in Nigeria. The only person that watched Nollywood is my mom. Okay, even my dad was not watching Nollywood when we were all together in Nigeria. And for someone like me, I started watching Nollywood when I came to Canada, and that was because I wanted to have like a reminder of how Nigeria was or how Nigeria is, and just like keep that memories and everything afresh. And then going into it, there's a lot of Hollywoodification of Nigeria, of Nollywood films and everything. And yeah, that is like contributing to the fatigue. But I think this particular year, because I've been having fatigue for a very long time, but this particular year, I think my issue has to be like there is a lot of content, and it's not just Nollywood; it's across all film industry. There's just too much content. It's just too oversaturated. I am tired. Okay, I can't even complete a K drama again. I am tired. Then I requested if we're talking about K drama, so there's no how I will not touch on that part. Sorry, not sorry. So about money, I know there's this line that when you support people, people grow and everything, the government support and everything. But at some point, I would just say that the Korean film industry, even though they have so much support, okay, and they have been getting like so much support, Korean film industry from their cable TV drama, Netflix got interested in them. They have support. Prime Video got interested with them. Disney Plus is taking K drama series and everything. But I think that it gets to a point that I'm not saying that so I'm not, like I'm happy that I'm getting their money from this streaming service and everything, but I just want to say me personally as a watcher of their product, this money that they were getting for streaming service, I think I've kind of like put the quality of their drama really, really low. Okay. And this year, minus all the money that they got from wherever they got, this year, even Korean film industry is in shit. And not just drama, also movie. I know people keep talking about Parasites, which is for CJ Entertainment Industry. Even last year, CJ Entertainment Industry were part of the people that produced Past Lives, okay? And during Oscar time, people were talking about Past Lives. This year, not a single Korean movie has Western validation. Okay. So with all the money and support they have, this year they are also suffering. And a lot of their suffering, okay, meal, I think it's because they have started trying to be a little bit like Hollywood. And this issue came from Netflix. I'm blaming Netflix for this. They're trying to be like Hollywood, and they are also trying, and they are also suffering this year. And that's because they're changing what we have known them to be. They're changing what their viewers, okay, have liked them. And Nollywood did that, and we are like, we are where we are. But I would like us to like come back to where we were in Nollywood. Mr. C, please stop raising your hand. This is the first time in how many weeks I've come to this space. Mr. C, this is the first time in how many weeks I've come to this space, and you want to like cut me
Well,
short.
so I want to talk for all the
But
weeks.
but
Why the weeks you
anyway,
do, so I want to talk
but
for all
yeah,
the
yeah,
weeks
yeah,
you do.
yeah. Okay, no, but I'm just saying that me generally my fatigue this year is not just about Nollywood quality. Like the quality has been there, it has been causing fatigue, but I've just been tired because every industry has too much oversaturation, and I don't think money can be the answer because even this year with all the money Korean film industry have, okay, there is a strong decline. Not a single movie is making wave in Oscar, whether we like it or not. Last year Past Life that was produced by CJ Entertainment was being talked about. This year it's bad. And I know we like, oh, the money, the streaming service is needed, but I think Netflix spoils K drama, to be very honest. Because they try to, the stories that end up in Netflix have become a little bit Hollywood like, okay? And then they have lost a lot of their consumer. And just for one example, The only good K drama movie that's kind of like made the fans excited this year was Lovely Runner. And when the script was submitted to Netflix rejected it, but it went to Vicky, the Eclipse brand in the movie. Their song debuted in Billboard, and this is because it has the same originality that fans liked in K drama. And then Netflix had to go back and carry this Lovely Runner, okay, because this is the original K drama kind of thing. So I know that we are talking about money, but at the same time, for K drama, I would say that Netflix kind of spoiled them in a way because they try to be a bit Hollywood. And even though we think money is everything, I think we just need to find what we are and what our story is, the originality, and continue in that line. Okay, so money is not like going to solve a lot of stuff. Okay, that's all.
Okay, all right. We're going to hear from Wayne and Matas, and then we're going to go.
Okay, I will try to because I know we have like juice. Can you hear me?
Yes.
What did you say? Am I breaking?
We can hear you. We can hear you, and go on.
Okay. So I'll try to be fast because of time. I wanted to say I kind of want to push back on there is a worldwide fatigue because while I agree to a certain extent, I don't think it's as bad as what we're experiencing in Nollywood. Just because like last year everyone was like, oh, there's this superhero fatigue. And Deadpool and Wolverine was the second highest grossing film of the year, and it's like top 20 worldwide. And it's not really that people are tired of watching films, right? Because everyone was anticipating Inside Out so much. Gladiator that is about to come out, everyone is people aren't tired of watching films. We're just tired of nonsense. And there's too much nonsense out there. That's the truth. So like the worldwide fatigue, it's not like, oh, and I know, yes, there is this thing about the fact that we are gradually shifting away from traditional media into like streaming and all of these things, but we still turn up for films. If we see a good story, we turned up for Barbie last year. Or is that this year? No, it's last year. We turned up for Barbie last year. We turned up for Oppenheimer. We turn up for films. If you give us a good film, we will watch it. We will talk about it. It will be the only thing on our minds. In fact, we'll go to the cinema 3 times, 4 times. The problem is everybody is just doing nonsense. The nonsense that is going on is not selective to Nigeria. It's not as if it's only Nigerians that are doing nonsense. They are doing a lot of rubbish in Hollywood also. That is why somehow we now say, oh, there's a worldwide fatigue. People don't want to watch films anymore. People don't want to go to the cinemas anymore. People will go to the cinemas if you give them a film worth going to the cinema. I'm going to the cinema to watch Denzel Washington. There's nothing stopping me from going to see Denzel Washington on the big screen, right? And then, like 4 words about money, because it's me that started this discourse. What I say to Inco is, we're not saying that you don't need money to make a good film. I think nobody in their right mind will say that you don't need money to make a good film. What we are saying is that Nollywood's problem is not primarily money, because we have seen money being Charles of Play Network. AY will gather like 200 people and fly them to Dubai to act this. It's like we have seen what money does to Nollywood, and money has never made our films better. So we're very like skeptical about you saying money will make structures. It's like we just need to start making good films first. Like if you give somebody 2 kg flour, let them be able to make small cake first. Let them be able to make cupcakes before they say, buy me a bag of flour and I'll make you a good cake. That's what we're saying.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Wayne. Atas, did you have anything you wanted to say before we?
No, not really. I just came to tell everybody that everything happening in Film Club is your fault. That's why I'm here. That's
All
all
right.
I came to say.
I
Mr. C, if
accidentally
you can't
allowed you
pick
on
a
this
good
space.
movie next
I
week, leave him
I
for
kick
me.
you out.
I feel like this is grounds for divorce. A man that cannot pick a good movie, how can he be a good leader and provider? That's all I have to add to this space. Thank you very much. You guys have a good week Sunday.
Kicking you off the space right now. Kick off the speakers. Anyway, all right. Lest we end on a sour note like that, such a sour, dour note. I think all is to say that the problems of Nollywood fatigue might be here with us for a while. But if you're feeling, I think if you're feeling fatigued, feel free to take a break. take a break, go watch your TikToks or something, come back. Maybe that's a lesson worth learning. Us on the space, we're going to try to do more hangouts, but it's still going to be Nollywood related, though, to be honest. But at least it has less pressure. It will have less pressure for you to look at things in the way that maybe someone like a Vanessa has watches the film. So,
And
but
before you know it, we'll take Christmas break.
yeah, at Christmas break we do our 2 or 3 weeks off, and before we are back again. But yeah, no, everybody.
Sorry to interrupt.
Must
Just imagine after holding us in captivity for the entire year, talking about 2 to 3 weeks Christmas break. Their mind now
That's all
are
you deserve.
benevolent.
That's all you deserve, to be honest. To be honest, that's
Wow.
what you deserve.
And then we're back again.
With a bang, with somebody. Oh,
We need to hang in there till
Lisabi
when
part
is
2.
no Jesus. When is Jade dropping her Christmas film?
Oh yeah. I don't know. I think that's good. That might be the last.
Our closer
Yeah, that
for
might
the
be our
year.
closer for the year. We'll see. And
You're going on Christmas break in November?
No.
no,
December,
it's
no?
December, I believe.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Because I was about to say you're missing a month there.
I think there are 2 films I'm looking forward to for the rest of the year. I think that Tosin's film, Tosin and Ghost film, and the Jade's Christmas thing. Like those have potential to be all right, you know. So let's see. Keep your chins up.
Please, who was the lady that said it was volume, not quality? That was.
That might have been Cynthia. I don't know if that might have been Cynthia.
Yeah,
But
that was
all right. Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. This was running on longer than I planned.
so long.
Apologies to
Like, can you imagine? Mrs. C, please.
apologies
I can take care of
from
it.
past Manny lied. Past
Sorry, Jade is
past
dropping this film on the 20th, 22nd. Am I going to be here on Film Club on the 22nd?
Oh no. All right. Anyway, we'll see you guys next week. I think if we're not taking a break. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the episode. If you enjoyed listening and would like to join live, just follow us on Twitter at Iroko Critic and join us every Sunday 6 p.m. West African time on our spaces.